For decades, Resident Evil has been a staple franchise in survival horror, striking a perfect blend between campy action and intense terror. Ever since 1996, Capcom has given us some of the greatest games ever made, and also some that are not so great. But despite going through a rough patch, they managed to crawl their way back to their former selves, with the release of Resident Evil 7, a game that not only sparked a new golden age for the company, but also revitalized the series as we know it. It brought the beloved franchise back to its roots, and paved the way for each new entry that followed. Now, a few months ago, they released Resident Evil Requiem, the newest mainline entry into the franchise, and possibly one of the most ambitious games in the entire series. Set after the events of Resident Evil 7 and Village, Requiem feels like a combination of everything that makes the games great. It manages to blend intense horror with over-the-top action. It takes us to places both new and old, and each and every character within this game is pushed to their absolute limits. They're forced to confront not only what's in front of them, but their past as well. It's a requiem for the dead and a nightmare for the living. The story begins in the FBI Midwest field office, and it's here where we are introduced to Grace Ashcroft, an FBI intelligence analyst currently writing a report on the mysterious string of deaths taking place in various locations around the US. These mysterious deaths are happening because of an unidentified disease. This disease has already claimed the lives of 4 survivors of the Raccoon City outbreak, each one of them bearing the same symptom: black bruises across their bodies. Grace is called into the FBI director's office and is told that a 5th body has been found bearing the same pathology as the other victims. The director specifically wants Grace to investigate the scene. The thing is, this body was found in a place Grace has a personal and traumatic history with: the Wrenwood Hotel, the place where her mother, Alyssa Ashcroft, was violently murdered. Upon hearing the location, Grace is struck with fear and anxiety, but the director insists that she faces her past and confronts her fears head on. Which is, easy for him to say. He's not the one who watched his mother get murdered right in front of him. But despite being completely petrified of returning to the hotel, she follows his orders, and before she knows it, she finds herself standing in the wet and bustling streets of Wrenwood.
Oh, sorry.
After arriving at Wrenwood, Grace makes her way to the crime scene. But before she can enter, she is stopped by a police officer. And since Grace is so nervous, she's not really present at all within the conversation. You can tell that her mind is elsewhere. The officer keeps asking her questions, but she kinda just zones out, completely disassociating as a way to combat her anxiety. She's bracing herself for what's to come. And the moment she goes under that police tape and into the alley, there's no going back. As the door to the hotel creaks open, Grace reluctantly steps into her own personal hell. The Wrenwood Hotel is completely dilapidated and abandoned. The walls have been completely scorched by fire, the ground covered in ash and dust, the ceilings caved in. This hotel is anything but pristine. It honestly looks like a place ripped straight from a nightmare. The hotel is genuinely an incredible setting to establish the tone of the story, and it reminds me a lot of the intro from RE7. We feel like a helpless victim, blindly walking through a place that feels haunted and unsettling. And that feeling only grows stronger when Grace goes deeper into the hotel. Upon entering the bar and lounge, she comes across a picture of herself with a key taped to the back, along with a note telling her to go to room 204. Someone has been patiently waiting for her to arrive, and now that she's here and all alone, they've got her trapped within their web.
Who's there? do?
Someone else is in the building, and Grace's anxiety begins to ramp up as she timidly walks up the stairs to room 204, the same room she stayed in the night of the incident. And when she enters, she finds something that sends chills down her spine. The bed is littered with photos of her just going about her everyday life. Someone has been stalking Grace, and there's one picture in particular that sets off a flood of memories. We are taken back to October 19th, 2018, the night Grace's entire life changed. Grace and her mother are staying at the Wrenwood Hotel for the night. Alyssa works freelance and is constantly on the move, jumping from hotel to hotel, city to city, and one day she noticed a hooded man following her, and she knew right away that the two of them needed to move on from the hotel. But before they can even begin to leave, the phone rings.
Mom, phone. Mom.
It's right beside you.
Hello?
Miss Ashcroft?
Yes.
Who was it?
Dunno. They asked for Miss Ashcroft and then they hung up on me.
Rude.
What the?
They're coming.
Whoever has been hunting Alyssa has finally made their move, which forces her and Grace to navigate the dark hotel. Grace, of course, is scared of the entire situation, and it's not long before she is utterly traumatized. When the two of them reach the lobby, they run into the hotel manager, and before he can investigate the power outage, he is viciously killed by the man in the hood.
Have it fixed soon. I just need to find my...
What the hell, Mom?
No, Grace. No. Grace, stay close to me.
Are you gonna tell me what's going on? Mom, what are you doing?
Something important.
What did you hide behind that painting?
I'll explain later. We need to find another way out.
Now, Grace at this point is hyperventilating and growing hysterical. She even calls the cops and reports both of the murders in the building. In an effort to console her, Alyssa tells her that she loves her and that she'll explain everything later. But that day will never come, because before they can escape, the hooded man comes back, and he drives a machete into Alyssa's neck.
I
Found you.
This is one of the most emotionally intense scenes in any Resident Evil game. When I first played this, I had legit chills. It's such a haunting scene. And even though we've only been with Grace for a very short amount of time, we already feel for her character, or at least I did. The performance is genuinely incredible. And after witnessing Alyssa's murder, we are taken back to the present day, where Grace still blames herself for what happened that night. And the silence is broken when she receives a call coming from a phone buried beneath all of the photographs. And it's in this moment where Grace remembers what her mother did that night. She remembers the painting.
Something important. I'll explain later.
Behind this painting lies Alyssa's journal and the floppy disk. Right now, this disk has no significance, but before she can even wrap her head around what she's holding, the police officer from before shows up. And this time, there's something very wrong with him. He says he's been stung by something.
Something stung me.
Are you okay? What do I do?
The officer transforms into a zombie right in front of Grace, and the entire transformation is incredibly visceral and creepy as shit. Completely shocked by what she just saw, Grace tries to get away, but in the chaos, her jacket gets caught on a luggage trolley, which forces her to evade the zombie, who, you know, has a shotgun.
What are you doing?
In his desire to mangle Grace, he lunges towards her relentlessly, and Grace does everything she can to fend him off, and eventually she does, but it's not enough to stop him from sneaking in a quick bite. Grace desperately runs up the stairs and manages to escape through the emergency exit, but the officer follows closely behind. This entire opening sequence is just amazing. It's our first real glimpse into Grace's psyche. From the get-go, we are made aware of her trauma and her capabilities as a survivor. She's scared and anxious, but at the same time, she knows what she has to do to make it out alive. And that remains true throughout the entire game. For now though, after narrowly escaping the jaws of the officer, she is drawn towards the sound of music coming from upstairs. And when she enters the room, she is met by a man named Victor Gideon, who sits quietly in his chair, awaiting her arrival.
Hello?
It hasn't been easy. But after much effort, here we finally are.
Who are you?
I'm the one who planted that body. I'm the one that brought you here. I know now that you're the one that I've been searching for. The special one. The chosen one. Miss Ashcroft.
Victor Gideon is a former Umbrella antivirus researcher, and he is also the one who planted the body in the hotel. He did this to lure Grace in and kidnap her. He calls her the special one, the chosen one, and when Grace tries to escape, he immediately puts her to sleep.
Rest now, Grace. We have so much to do.
A few minutes before Grace was kidnapped by Gideon, a sixth body was found in Elbridge, and the one investigating it is none other than the GOAT, Leon Kennedy.
Is this one like the others?
Well, same black watches.
And it's not post-mortem lividity.
No. No, this is different. That's 6 now. 6 survivors of Raccoon City, all dead from the same thing.
Leon is still working for the DSO, and this case is personal. Just like the victims of this unknown disease, Leon was also a survivor of Raccoon City. He bears the same marks and bruises as the bodies. But Leon isn't investigating all of this alone. No, he has Sherry Birkin acting as his oracle and eyes in the sky. She sends him a person of interest regarding the case, Victor Gideon. She also informs Leon that there's been reports of a missing police officer that disappeared where the fifth body was found. He, of course, goes to check it out. While whipping his Porsche down the streets of Renwood, Leon notices Victor carrying Grace out of the hotel. Bro was just walking with her slumped over his shoulder in the middle of a city. But when people around him begin to notice, he resorts to drastic measures. He begins to shoot darts at every civilian in his path.
I'm just taking her home.
These darts cause them to rapidly transform into zombies, which leaves Leon with no other choice than to clean up his mess. This is the first time in the game where we get to play as Leon. Requiem is a 50-50 split between the two characters, and it honestly feels like two completely different genres that have been perfectly blended together. Grace's intro is incredibly tense and unsettling, but Leon's is full of pure and raw adrenaline. This is where we are introduced to his combat system, and my god, is it just perfect. Leon is completely dripped out while walking the zombies down in the streets. He's got his expensive ass leather jacket on, a Hamilton watch, sponsor, a Porsche, sponsor, and a hatchet to completely tear apart the zombies. Much like RE4 Remake, Leon is able to parry almost every attack within the game, and I mean that. His hatchet is practically godlike. I wouldn't be surprised if he parried Kratos' Leviathan axe, honestly. It's that strong. The thing is made out of fucking adamantium. Along with the parries, his signature roundhouse kick makes a return. But he's not as agile as he was back in RE4. No, he's pushing 50. But that doesn't mean Unk has lost any of his steam. In fact, he's only gotten more badass. The finishers in this game are nuts. The amount of strength it would take to do some of this shit is wild, and he makes it look just so easy. It's such a hectic introduction, and I was honestly floored by it on my first playthrough. And when Leon pulls out the Requiem to finish the job, it marks the end of the chaos.
Leon, have you located Victor?
No, I lost him. Back to square one.
Once everything on the street settles down, we get our first look at Leon's infection. The black bruise has completely engulfed his hand, and it's here where we learn that Sherry is also infected by the same disease. And it won't be long until their time runs out. It's a fight against the clock. After losing Gideon, Sherry informs Leon that he purchased the building after Umbrella went under. That building is the Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center, and it's here where the nightmare continues. Grace wakes up completely upside down and strapped to a medical bed, surrounded by supplies, all while her blood is being siphoned. The juxtaposition between Grace's sections and Leon's are genuinely wild. Grace is forced to survive unspeakable horrors, while Leon is practically in a Mission Impossible movie. After managing to break free from the medical bed, Grace finds herself in a dark and eerie portion of the care center. The lights flicker. The wood floors creak, the wind howls, the rain pounds against the window, and the thunder cracks in the distance. There's a palpable dread within the air, and Grace is completely soaked in fear. But despite that, she has to keep moving down each hall. Her only objective is to escape, and to do that, she needs to find a fuse. This section is filled with nothing but dread. We know that something is lurking in the dark, but we don't know when it will show its face. We are crippled by the anticipation of what we can't see, but the only way to find out is to pull back the veil and enter the dark. Eventually, she finds a cherub key, which unlocks a safe room, and it's here where she finds a lighter as well as the fuse she needs. But it just so happens to be locked behind glass, and right above it is a hole in the ceiling. Now that Grace has a lighter, she is finally able to explore the rooms that were once completely pitch black. The first room she enters is decorated in children's drawings, some completely normal, while others are, well, disturbing. Stuffed animals line the floors, and at the center of it all, lying on a table, is a book titled The Shadow Ghost. This eerie children's book tells a tale of a ghost that hides in the darkness, staying away from the light, watching us, listening to us, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself, and the only way to survive is to stay in the light. And the moment Grace closes the book, a loud bang can be heard coming from the hall. Everything she's feared is about to come true. But right now, everything is hauntingly quiet. But as soon as she enters the dark, she comes face to face with the abomination that thrives in it.
He's dead. Infected.
The girl is the main stalker enemy for Grace's portion of the game, and she's horrific to look at. Her design is grotesque. Her face is mangled and distorted, with one eye significantly larger than the other. Her hair is patchy and stringy, her teeth fully corroded, her skin pale and ghastly, and her arms lanky and frail. The girl is very vicious and daunting. The first time we ever see her, she's terrifying. The chains around her arm constantly rattle whenever her heavy footsteps stomp against the floor. She immediately chases Grace down the hall, but it's here where we witness her main weakness: light. The girl is a creature of the shadows. Whenever she goes near lights, it singes her skin and causes her to flee to the various holes scattered throughout the ceiling. But it doesn't keep her away for long. No, that light can always go out. And when Grace is left in the dark, she's completely vulnerable. Now, Grace's gameplay can actually differ based on the camera perspective you choose to play with. So the default for Grace is first person, and that's what I used throughout my entire first playthrough. It honestly makes everything feel much more intimate and claustrophobic. Playing in third person as Grace, though, allows you to see much more. You can peek around corners and see exactly where the girl is. But there's a catch. Whenever Grace is in third person, she is very prone to tripping and falling while being chased. And this doesn't happen in first person. When I tried third person for the first time on my second playthrough, it felt like someone put a bunch of fucking baby oil on the floor. So to prevent that, you have to play in first person. But obviously, that comes with the cost of reduced visibility. I love how there's a trade-off between the different perspectives. It almost makes it feel like a completely different game. Now, the rest of the section pretty much involves Grace sneaking past the girl to get the screwdriver and the fuse. And when she does this, she manages to escape the clutches of the abomination. Or so she thinks.
Come on!
While Grace was fighting for her life, Leon casually pulled up to the care center in his Porsche, sponsor, and was welcomed in by one of the newly hired nurses. She tells him that Dr. Gideon has been expecting him. Gideon is the director of the care center and has been conducting experimental therapy on the patients within the building. And it's because of this research that the facility keeps a low profile. When Leon gets to the rehabilitation ward, a loud announcement goes off on the intercom. Code 6 has been put into effect throughout the facility.
Code 6, all staff initiate emergency protocols.
Code 6 essentially releases a mutated strain of the T-virus, and every staff member and patient is infected and transformed. Gideon has essentially opened the floodgates within the building, and Leon is right in the center of it.
I think I want a second opinion.
Okay, we're not going to talk about the fact that Leon could have easily saved this woman. We're skipping right over that. Instead, we're going to talk about the fact that the chainsaw is back and better than ever. Whenever a chainsaw is in the room, the entire fight is going to be hectic as shit. Pretty much every single zombie in the game can pick it up and swing it around, but not all of them can actually control it. And this leads to some pretty funny interactions. They kinda just toss it around like it's a hot potato. But when it eventually lands in Leon's hands, it's pretty much just game over for anything in the room. Leon went from parrying the chainsaw with a knife in RE4 to wielding it, and it's incredibly satisfying. What's also satisfying is the gunplay in this game. This is the best feeling Resident Evil when it comes to shooting any weapon. The gunplay is incredibly tight and responsive. Capcom found a perfect balance between the two characters, and Leon is essentially the relief after playing the more intense Grace sections. And speaking of Grace, she is currently about to be dragged into the abyss.
Hey, over here. You okay?
Yeah. Thanks.
Leon Kennedy, DSO.
CSO. I'm Grace. Ashcroft. FBI.
FBI. What are you doing here?
Someone kidnapped me.
Victor Gideon.
I don't know.
Well, we should leave.
Before the two of them can leave with one another, Gideon puts the entire facility under lockdown. And just as the shutter closes and separates them, Leon gives Grace the Requiem.
Wait, you're DSO. That's the counter bioterrorism agency, right?
Take this.
You're sure?
You might need it. Now go. Get out of here.
When the shutters close, Leon is left in the dark, and when he turns on his lights, Gideon is waiting for him in the shadows. He's been watching him this entire time, and now that they finally met, Gideon wastes no time in overpowering him.
Why don't we have a little talk?
Too slow.
Like I said before, Gideon is a former Umbrella researcher, but in 1988, he was also a part of Umbrella's Tyrant Project, a secret initiative that was responsible for creating bioweapons for military use. This project is also responsible for the T-virus, which led to the infamous Raccoon City outbreak. After Umbrella went bankrupt in 2003, Gideon purchased the Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center, and it's here where he became completely obsessed with his research, which led to the discovery of a new disease known as the Raccoon City Syndrome. This disease involves a latent strand of the T-virus that remained dormant ever since the outbreak. Over time, the virus began to adapt to its host's antibodies, which caused a mutation that slowly evolved. And right now, Leon has no clue that within him lies the very virus that changed his life.
I see you're exhibiting symptoms too. Umbrella's curse.
I'll be fine. I hope.
When we shift back to Grace's perspective, we are thrown into the heart of the care center, with one bullet left in the Requiem. The Requiem is the most important weapon in the entire game, and it acts as a torch being passed from character to character. Whoever holds the Requiem is the main focus for that portion of the story. The first half of the game is 90% Grace and 10% Leon. He's more of a side character for the first few hours. And in the beginning of the care center, Grace meets a little blind girl named Emily, who is sealed behind protective glass in a room all by herself. Before interacting with her, Grace is warned by a dying staff member to stay away. She of course doesn't listen to him, and instead begins to talk to her. We find out that she was blinded by all the experiments and medicine she was exposed to, and next to her enclosure is another room identical to hers. But there's no one in it, except a doll lying on the ground. This room used to belong to Emily's friend, Marie, but one day she just disappeared. Within the room is a tunnel burrowed into the wall, as well as a hole in the ceiling. Putting two and two together, we can immediately assume that Marie was either taken or met a fate much worse. Before leaving the room, Grace grabs a key card from Jeff Gray, the staff member lying dead on the floor. This card unlocks the west wing of the building, and it's here when the game truly opens up. The care center feels like a classic Resident Evil location, and Grace's gameplay feels like a perfect mix between the RE2 remake and RE7. This entire section is very heavy on backtracking and puzzle solving. It's also claustrophobic and intense. Grace has to sneak by the majority of the enemies within the area, and even when she's given a gun, she is still very timid. By nature, Grace is an exceptionally scared character. Her aim is shaky, which makes it much harder to fend off the zombies. But when she does end up landing headshots, she's able to push them to the ground and run away. Speaking of zombies, they've been let loose, and this time they're uniquely different from previous entries. Each and every zombie has a trace of humanity left within them. They perform mundane and tedious tasks that align with the routines they had before they were infected. They are also much more intelligent and capable of speech, with many of them saying distinct phrases that go along with what they're doing. For instance, the maid is constantly trying to keep the floors clean and gets pissed off whenever there's a mess within the room. The chef is stuck in an endless loop of trying to cook his signature recipe. One of the zombies has a head injury and complains about the building being too loud. A singer performs for a crowd of zombies within the bar and lounge, and dances with a flowing white dress. And my personal favorite is the one who wants all of the lights to be turned off within the halls. Each one of them has their own distinct personality, and it makes them feel a part of the environment rather than an asset placed within it. Now, the main goal of this section is to find 3 courts that open the door to the courtyard, and to do that, Grace needs to navigate through the 2 wings of the care center, the east wing and the west wing. Both of these areas have their own key items that are needed to unlock various doors and solve puzzles within the building. While navigating through the wings, Grace comes across an item that will stay with her for the rest of the game, the blood collector. The blood collector is essentially Grace's lifeline. This gadget allows Grace to collect blood for the sole purpose of crafting items. After killing an enemy, Grace is able to siphon what's left of them and turn their blood into either ammo, a healing item, or a hemolytic injector, which is a brand new stealth item used to one-shot enemies from behind and also prevent them from mutating. Whenever the injector is used on an enemy, it pops them like a balloon and paints the entire room red, or in this case, black and white. But it's not just zombies within the center. No, that would be too easy. While exploring the East Wing, Grace comes face to face with another abomination, the Chunk. Chunk is essentially a wrecking ball that tears down anything in his path. He serves as a barrier, blocking off certain sections of the wing. He also has a pretty horrific backstory, and he's not the only Chunk roaming Rhodes Hill. No, he has a twin brother who is also a victim of experimentation. Their names are Thomas K. Jackson and Timothy B. Jackson, and a procedure was done on the two of them to suppress the satiety center of their brains, causing an increase in appetite and weight gain. This caused them to develop a monstrous hunger for anything and everything. Thomas began to ingest everything in his path, including pacemakers and infusion pumps. While crashing through the halls, Thomas remains somewhat self-conscious and is embarrassed about the entire situation. He even screams at Grace to stop laughing at him. Timothy, however, is completely obsessed with consuming human flesh. It's all he can think about. Although the Chunks are massive in size, they're not immortal. Grace is able to kill the Chunk with a couple Requiem shots.
What the
The Requiem in general is used as a get-out-of-jail-free card. If Grace gets overwhelmed, she can use it to get out of any situation.
Jesus.
Now, Grace eventually runs into Victor Gideon, who finally tells her why she's here.
Miss Ashcroft. Come in.
Why did you kidnap me?
Kidnap you? I liberated you.
Who are you?
Oh, forgive me. Dr. Victor Gideon. I run this center. It took forever to find you. You're not like other people, you know. You're quite unique. Through you, Elpis can finally be set free.
Why me?
Because my master made you who you are.
Gideon is completely obsessed with Oswald Spencer's research. He even goes as far as to call him his master. He tells Grace that she's the key to unleashing Elpis. Elpis is believed to be the last virus created by Spencer, and this virus is the main driving force behind Gideon's motivations and the story itself. However, it's still a mystery to everyone who seeks it. The only one who knows its true purpose has been dead since 2006. And right now, it's this creation that's at the center of it all. The balance of the world lies on the shoulders of a dead man. Before Gideon can fully explain his mission to Grace, he is cut off by an alarm. Phase 2 has just begun.
Phase 2's about to begin. Would you like to see what's hidden under the hood?
The zombies Grace has killed within the building have begun to mutate into blisterheads. Blisterheads are significantly more aggressive than the standard zombie, and are the result of a rare double mutation, and they get their name from the large tumor-like mass on their heads. The only way to kill them is to either pop that mass or stab them with the hemolytic injector, which has been designed to completely destroy the infected blood cells within their bodies. The injector can also be used on dead zombies to prevent them from mutating before it's too late. The blister heads add a new element of danger within the care center. If one of them happens to burst next to another zombie, the fluids from the tumor release into the air, and cause each and every one of them within its close proximity to mutate. This forces Grace to be more careful when killing enemies. She of course needs blood to craft items, but it now comes with a risk.
Grace! Wait! Grace! 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 There's no escaping your destiny.
After outsmarting Gideon, Grace manages to solve more of the puzzles within the building, which eventually leads her to the final quartz. But even after being given the combination, she can't solve it herself. No, it's all in Braille. This means she needs to free Emily from her cage.
They look just like... Why did they put you in there?
I don't know. I've always been here.
Do you mind if I come in?
I don't mind.
Sorry. I'm with the police.
Police?
Yes. I'd like you to come with me.
Why?
I'm Grace. What's your name?
Emily?
Emily. Do you think you could read something for me? Please, I really need your help.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll take you there.
The only way out of this hellscape is through Emily. But first, Grace needs to get her to the puzzle. So she picks her up and forces her way to the isolation ward, dodging past the remaining zombies left within the building. Once she makes it to the office, Grace must protect her while she reads the symbols, and once she does, it unlocks the final quartz. The two of them now have what they need to leave the care center. But right as they are about to exit the room, the girl emerges from below and drags Emily and the quartz down into the abyss. Before jumping into the basement, Grace has to work up the courage to do so. After all, she is the reason Emily was taken, and she has to do everything in her power to get her back. Throughout Grace's sections, she becomes a lot less anxious and scared. Now, don't get me wrong, she's still very much terrified, but she's proven that she has what it takes to survive. Her aim actually becomes a lot less shaky as the game progresses. The more she's exposed to the horrors plaguing the care center, the more confident she becomes in her own abilities. But along with all the encounters thus far, Grace is also made stronger by Emily herself. Emily gives Grace something to fight for. She was already fighting for herself, but with Emily now in the mix, she feels like it's her responsibility to keep her safe. And when Grace finally jumps into the basement, she does just that.
Hang on, Emily. I'm coming.
After jumping down, Grace finds herself in a setting that is dark, cramped, and rusty. The power is almost completely out, and the little light that does remain is a crimson red. I love this section of the game. It's incredibly tense and stressful, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. In fact, I wouldn't be mad if it was longer. The main goal of the basement section is to find Emily and free her from one of the holding cells. And to do that, Grace needs to reroute the power by using the joint plugs scattered across the nightmarish halls. When Grace finds Emily, she's sound asleep and surrounded by dolls. The girl brought her here and placed her gently on the bed next to all of her belongings. If it wasn't already obvious, the girl is Marie, Emily's friend. She mutated after she was administered infected blood, which turned her into the grotesque and jarring creature we know her to be. And it isn't long before Marie's presence is felt within the basement. The entire gameplay loop of the basement revolves around the joint plugs. Whenever Grace puts one of these plugs into a socket, it restores the power within that specific area. But when it's removed, the power immediately shuts off. This forces the player to find specific routes and shortcuts to find all the key items they need. While doing all this, Grace is actively being hunted by Marie and the zombies as well. This part of the game is relatively short once you get the routes down, but it's got some of my favorite scenes within the entire game. At one point, Grace is on a conveyor belt that leads directly to a meat grinder, and she has to fight back against its momentum as the zombies begin to surround her. I wish I could show this part in all its glory, but YouTube has been kinda weird when it comes to Requiem, but just know, it's insane. I also forgot to mention the fact that Grace goes down a water slide of blood, and this isn't even the craziest moment within Grace's sections. No, there's still way more to come.
Oh, I got in my mouth.
When Grace finally places all of the joint plugs in their slots, all of the cell doors open, which releases the zombies from their confinement, and sets off an alarm that blares throughout the entire basement. It's here where Grace grabs Emily and runs.
It's me! It's me! It's Grace! It's Grace! Calm down. Grace? Yeah. We gotta get out of here. I'm scared. Why is it so loud? It's gonna be okay. Just don't let go. Come on. It's just putting you down.
Just as Marie crashes down from the ceiling, Grace manages to shut the elevator doors. But it's not enough to get away, because even though they've begun their ascent, so is she.
I'm okay. That's good. Good, Emily. What's going on? Hurry! Go!
This is honestly one of my favorite scenes from the entire game. Grace has been trying her best to stay strong, but after looking death in the eyes and escaping its gaze time and time again, she finally breaks down. And as the emotions pour out of her, she's embraced by the one person she's been trying so desperately to protect. Emily gives her a hug, and after a second or two, Grace gives in and pulls her closer. Now that the final quartz is back in Grace's possession, she and Emily can finally free themselves from the hell that is the care center. The care center is honestly one of my favorite locations in any Resident Evil game. It struck that perfect blend between RE7's horror and RE2's puzzle solving. I was giddy the entire time I was playing it. But once Grace puts the final quartz into the door, she turns her back to the center for good. With Emily in her arms, Grace looks for a way out through the courtyard, and she ends up finding a helicopter sitting still next to a house, along with its pilot, Harry Reid. Fucking hell, I can't say that shit. Harry is a helicopter pilot working for Gideon, and as soon as the outbreak started, Victor confiscated his keys to stop him from leaving. Gideon's a pretty shitty boss. The keys are being held in the house next to the helicopter, and he asks Grace to get them for him. And in exchange, he offers to look after Emily until she returns. He would go get the keys himself, but he's unable to, due to an old war wound on his leg. At first, Grace is suspicious of his intentions, but she quickly realizes that he's her best shot at escaping. So she accepts his offer and makes her way into the house. The house is oddly normal, but when Grace steps into the office, things begin to take a turn. The office is decorated with saws, books, memorabilia, and alcohol. But one thing is missing: the keys. Grace eventually finds the way out, but it's not the exit she was hoping for. No. The room begins to slowly descend, and the illusion of normalcy is completely shattered as the concrete walls and sterile lighting reveal themselves. She has been driven down into a secret research facility, not meant for her wandering eyes. The first room she encounters is littered with documents that highlight Oswald Spencer's research, which dives heavily into the use of blood. In these documents, blood is seen as the key to memory transfer, and is even considered the medium of memory. And with the T-virus, it grants them control over factors within the blood, which could allow them to transfer the memories of powerful individuals to another host. The only catch is that in order for the procedure to succeed, the host must be able to withstand the toxicity of the mutated T-virus strain, all while preserving their own intelligence. Now, in the hotel, Grace was bit by the officer and nothing happened. And it's this natural immunity that makes her the perfect host for whatever Gideon has planned. Soon after reading the document, Grace goes downstairs, only to come face to face with a room full of mutated patients being held within test tubes. These patients are being experimented on for their blood, with the hopes of discovering the perfect host. These are all victims of Gideon's so-called experimental therapy. This is one of the coolest rooms in the entire game, and it's all orchestrated by a madman. Tainted blood flows throughout the entire facility, and the disturbed test subjects remain dormant within their gore-filled coffins. All of the tubes within the room connect to the giant sun-like sphere of blood in the center of the lab. This sphere contains the souls of countless victims that have been tortured and drained, for the sole purpose of finding the key to Elpis. Eventually, after uncovering Gideon's experiments, Grace finds the helicopter key, but she also stumbles upon her own blood analysis report. When Grace was unconscious, Gideon took samples of her blood, and within this comprehensive analysis, the genetic information obtained from the samples matches all of the data perfectly. She really is the one he's been looking for all this time, and when she tries to leave, she is once again forced to hide from the man himself.
All tests have come back positive. I can confirm that she is indeed the one that we've been searching for. If all goes as planned, Elpis will soon be in our hands. Of course. But first I must initiate the protocol.
Gideon is on the phone with a man named Zeno, who at this point in the game is a character we have yet to encounter. Victor tells him that all of the tests have come back positive, and Grace is indeed the one they've been searching for. And if all goes as planned, Elpis will soon be within their reach. But before they can enact their plan, Gideon must get rid of all of the evidence. So he activates the final protocol.
I've done it. I've done it.
The self-destruct protocol has been initiated.
The entire facility has been set to self-destruct, and all of the blood within the underground lab begins to crash down like a tsunami. All of the mutated test subjects begin to break free from their imprisonment, and are now sloshing around in their own blood. And as the crimson rushes into every nook and cranny, Grace is forced to wade through the horrors unraveling before her. Bolted to each wall are canisters filled with pressurized hemolytic acid that, when sprayed, completely eradicate any mutated victim it touches. Using this, Grace pushes through the tidal wave and manages to escape. This entire sequence is very Evil Dead. It's just so absurd, and the amount of blood on the screen is just crazy. This is definitely the bloodiest Resident Evil for sure. But when Grace finally makes it back to the surface, she is completely painted red, and wastes no time in booking it to the helicopter.
You get it?
Yeah.
Good.
Oh my god.
What the f did you do?
Grace? Grace, what's happening?
It's okay, Emily. I'm here. Emily, it's gonna get a little bumpy. I'm right next to you.
No, lady, I'm gonna need you up front.
No, it's okay. I'm all right.
Come on, come on, come on.
Oh, there are so many of them.
Strap in.
The helicopter isn't just their way out. No, it's also a death trap. The zombies are unwavering in their pursuit to completely tear apart everyone in the helicopter. In their clouded eyes, all they see is human flesh waiting to be consumed. As Emily's screams grow louder and the windows begin to crack, Harry manages to get the bird in the sky. But in doing so, he takes the undead with them. Even in the sky, the living dead's hunger is persistent. They remain latched onto the helicopter like leeches, and when they manage to break through the windshield, things turn from bad to catastrophic. Grace grabs hold of the controls and uses all of her strength to prevent the inevitable, but it's not enough.
Emily, are you okay? Oh, Emily.
While Grace was escaping the basement and making her way to the underground lab, Leon was unconscious and tied to a chair within the attic at the care center. When Leon wakes up, he is met by Victor Gideon. And being the trained badass he is, Leon is unwavering, stoic, and completely unfazed by all of his questions. He sits there and gives him nothing. The whole scene is very intimate. Gideon gets up close and personal with him, whispering to him, caressing his hair, asking him about his motives, his disease. He even tells Leon to investigate, to ask him questions about his research, but he remains silent. Gideon is a very disturbing and unnerving villain. He's soft-spoken but menacing, and the tension of the scene is broken in half when Leon says this.
You know, I do have a question. When's the last time you brushed your teeth?
Leon's joke completely kills Gideon's mood, and instead of playing with his hair some more, he instead uses a scalpel to slice into his neck.
Do you believe in human evolution? I have devoted my life to studying it, while you have devoted your life to failure. You're a dead man walking.
After kicking the shit out of Gideon and spinning his jaw, Leon manages to come into contact with Sherry, and his main objective is to make it through the care center and reach Victor's office. This part of the game serves as a release of the tension that was built up during Grace's sections, and the moment we gain control of Leon, the action begins. While walking through the attic, he comes into contact with the other chunk that inhabits Rose Hill, Thomas K. Jackson's brother, Timothy. Timothy craves human flesh, and the first time we see him, he's feasting on a corpse while blocking the way forward. No matter how much he eats, he always wants more. No amount of flesh could possibly satisfy his hunger.
Sorry, but I'm not on the menu.
After fighting Chunk, Leon is able to explore the entire care center. While roaming the building, Leon steps over the various corpses left behind by Grace, and any zombie lucky enough to still be walking is swiftly put out of their misery. If Grace left any of the larger zombies alive, then they're now Leon's problem. But unlike Grace, Leon isn't scared of anything, and pretty much everything in the building is turned to mincemeat. It's pretty therapeutic to just run through the wings and make a mockery of the enemies that once terrified Grace. One thing I love about this part is the fact that the care center has not changed at all. If you grab certain items as Grace, they don't appear for Leon. Health items, for instance, are shared between the two characters, as well as ammo. But the areas that were once inaccessible as Grace are now free to open, and all it took was a hatchet to open any door within the building. One of these doors just so happens to be the waiting room to Gideon's office, and it's here where Leon fights a blisterhead for the first time. Blisterheads during Leon's sections are much more prevalent, and also much less daunting, mainly because there are so many different ways to deal with them. Leon can either shoot them until they fall and then one-shot them with the hatchet, or he could throw a grenade, take him out with a shotgun, a sniper, or perform a perfect parry, which is just incredibly satisfying. Leon is pretty much a weapon of mass destruction in this game, and even though he's knocking on death's door, he's practically invincible. When Leon discovers Gideon's office, he also uncovers what's going on within himself, and for the first time in a long time, his impenetrable outer shell is cracked. He realizes that the virus within him isn't just any illness. No, it's a death sentence.
Our symptoms confirm a T-virus infection.
Wait, at least we're in it together, right? Elvis. Grace, what's she got to do with this?
Before Leon can dig deeper into the files regarding Grace's involvement with Elvis, he hears the chopping of a helicopter's rotor blades in the distance, and he watches as it crash lands next to a nearby chapel. Wasting no time, Leon grabs the sniper rifle to get a closer look of what's going on. Grace stumbles from the cockpit of the helicopter and goes to check on Emily, who is badly injured in the back seat. Grace unstraps her and picks her up as the fires begin to spread from beneath the helicopter. Her only option is to seek sanctuary in the nearby chapel as the zombies start to close in. Acting as a watchful eye and guardian in the sky, Leon defends Grace from the rooftops. He snipes every single zombie that comes close to her as she makes her way to the chapel. Once she makes it to the main door, Leon quickly slides down the rooftop and finishes off the remaining undead emerging from the blazing fires. When he breaks through the chapel door, he finds Grace applying pressure to Emily's wound. And in this brief moment of relief, Leon tells her that it's gonna be okay. But that relief is fleeting, because just as the two of them head to the exit, the zombies begin to surround the building, and the fire has only grown stronger, leaving Leon with no other choice but to stay behind and keep them busy.
Get her safe. Go! Now!
And it's in this frenzy that a brand new enemy emerges, the Blisterborn.
I'll keep our friends busy.
The Blisterborn is a very dangerous enemy that is essentially an evolved blisterhead. This secondary metamorphosis causes them to grow these nasty orange cysts across their body, which if popped, releases a spore-like gas that mutates any zombie, alive or dead, into a blisterhead. Destroying all of the cysts kills the creature, but it also mutates any zombie that still has its head. And after Leon manages to clear out all the remaining enemies, we jump right back to Grace's perspective, as she desperately tries to find a way to the surface before Emily succumbs to her injury. Emily is knocking on death's door, and if she doesn't get the help she needs, she'll surely die. Grace is doing everything she can to keep her safe, even if it means facing her own fears. As soon as she finds a safe place to lay her down, Marie descends from the ceiling, and instead of hiding from the monster, Grace realizes that in this moment, she can finally be the hero she couldn't be for her mother. She becomes Emily's guardian, and she'll be damned if anything happens to her. It's time to take the fight to Marie. Armed with a shitload of Requiem bullets, Grace pushes forward with a determination like no other. Her posture is straight, her hands still, and her mind set on one clear goal: kill the monster by any means necessary and get Emily to safety.
Insufficient power. Reset the power distribution units on the lower floor.
The fight itself is incredibly simple. Grace has to dodge the monster while simultaneously restarting the 3 power distribution units. This isn't a traditional boss fight by any means. Grace uses the Requiem throughout the entire sequence as a way to stun Marie while she resets the power. That's it. And honestly, I like it that way. Grace obviously doesn't have the same combat ability as Leon, which means she has to take a different approach when it comes to these scenarios. And when she manages to reset the power, she pulls the girl into the light.
Come on, open!
After putting an end to Marie, Grace rushes towards Emily, only to find her lying dead where she left her.
Emily? Oh no! Wake up! Come on! Oh shit. Oh no. Oh, Emily! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
After multiple attempts to revive her, Grace begins to blame herself once again. In her mind, it was foolish to believe she could be anything more than a victim. This is what she gets for playing hero. But just as all hope is lost, Grace notices Emily's hand move, and at first, she takes this as a sign of life, but it's not.
You okay?
Emily morphs into a horrific and grotesque baby monster right in front of Grace, who is now completely petrified and frozen with fear. Her first instinct is to call her by name, but that only makes her more aggressive. And just as she's about to lunge onto Grace, Leon comes to the rescue and grants her mercy in death.
No! No, 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 no! That's Emily! It's Emily!
I'm sorry.
Are you That's Emily! I wanted to save her!
You don't understand. It's
No, I never would have escaped without her. This is all my fault. Again.
Look, I get it. Trust me, I get it. But we're still alive. We have to keep going.
After witnessing Emily's death, Grace has had enough. She's all but given up. And it's in this moment where she tosses the Requiem at Leon's feet and wanders off alone to the exit. And as she turns her back to him, he falls to his knees and coughs up blood. His time is running out, and it feels like everything is coming to an end, but it's only getting started. As Grace walks to the surface, completely distraught and overwhelmed with emotions, she finds herself stepping into another trap. Gideon sits waiting, ready to welcome her in with open arms. The missing piece of the puzzle he's been seeking this entire time has finally been put in place.
I've been waiting for you, Grace.
Who are you?
Raccoon City. You're the reason for its destruction, but you're also the key to building a brave new world. You're the final piece. Let us show you your true purpose.
On September 30th, 1998, everything changed. Humanity suffered an incredible loss with the devastation of Raccoon City, a profound tragedy that took the lives of roughly 100,000 people. This event shifted the balance of power throughout the world, paving the way for corruption, greed, and a desire for godhood in mortal men. Disguised as an unprecedented outbreak, the horrors of Raccoon City were carved by the hands of countless corporations and entities, with the most notable being Umbrella. All of these factors collided to curate the perfect storm of ruin, and in the eye of this storm lies the T-Virus. The T-Virus is responsible for the zombies roaming the streets, as well as the intelligent predators hunting witnesses and anyone strong enough to fight back. The events of the outbreak gave rise to the proliferation of bioorganic weapons that would go on to make the known powers of the world obsolete. But on the other end of the spectrum, it would inspire the resilient and the determined to not bend the knee, but instead push forward against the growing storm. Much like the bioweapons, Raccoon City gave birth to an individual who at first lacked the power to make a difference, but who in his weaknesses was sworn to protect and serve. That man is Leon Kennedy. A man not only plagued by the memories of the people he couldn't save, but one who is also cursed with the very disease that took them. Leon has just entered phase 2 of the infection, and it won't be long until the virus sweeps through his entire nervous system. He needs to find Grace and figure out what she has to do with Elpis. And to do that, he has to go back to where it all began. He must face his past and confront the bones of all the people he couldn't protect. He has to return to Raccoon City. Elpis lies in the center of Raccoon City, buried deep beneath the surface in an underground facility that was once owned and operated by Umbrella. This top-secret facility is known simply as ARC, and it's this very place that will ultimately decide the future of mankind. But for now, we shift to Leon's perspective as he makes his way to the ghost town. Before arriving, Sherry informs Leon that there are no records of Elpis within the CIA or Pentagon servers, and when she requested higher clearance, she was told to shut down the investigation immediately. But instead, she decides to take the risk and continues to assist Leon from the shadows. At the end of the day, they're in this till the end.
Just don't do anything too risky, yeah?
Me? Never.
The path to Raccoon City is incredibly daunting, and when he finally arrives, the streets are weighed down by all the years of regret and dread surrounding them. Everything Leon has done up until this point has prepared him for his return. After all, he wouldn't be the man he is today without the trauma that shaped him. The last time he was here, he was a 21-year-old rookie cop, hopeful and excited to put on the uniform and serve the city he was sworn to protect. But upon arriving, his life changed forever. The light within his eyes was drained and replaced by a hardened look, filled with years of exhaustion, anger, and a profound guilt that still has him in a chokehold. All of his dreams and aspirations were killed alongside the victims of the outbreak. September 30th isn't just the day everything changed. No, it also marked the death of the rookie. And by stepping foot in the city for the first time in 28 years, he can finally get some closure and confront the ghosts of yesterday. It's a requiem for the dead and a nightmare for the living. Raccoon City itself is decayed and desolate, a tomb decorated by crumbled buildings and collapsed bridges. Decades of ash built up on each and every street. Cars that once took people to work, to school, out to eat, are now piled up and caked in rust and dirt. Advertisements for Umbrella and their vision for a brighter tomorrow overlook the empty and dead streets of the city. There is no tomorrow. Well, not here at least. No, that door closed when they dropped the bomb. It was kind of surreal, returning to Raccoon City and walking through the aftermath of the nuke. Everything about it just feels so apocalyptic, and I think Capcom did an amazing job at really capturing the decay and the overall scale of its destruction. At first, it feels like Leon is completely alone in the dead city, but as he goes deeper, past all the dust and rubble, he comes across an area completely covered in webs, large enough and strong enough to suspend multiple cars in the air at once. Whatever is lurking has called this wasteland its home for quite some time, and when Leon goes underneath the bridge, he comes face to face with the one weaving all the webs, the Titan Spinner.
Holy shit.
The Titan Spinner is a giant spider BOW that is incredibly aggressive and honestly scary as f***. This is one of the most realistic looking spiders in any game I've ever played. The way it moves is just disgusting, but it's also really cool. Giant spiders were a staple enemy in the classic Resident Evil games, and then Capcom kinda just stopped making them. So this fight honestly serves as an homage to the original entries, and the fight itself is really hectic. The spider is unpredictable and ruthless. Its attacks are fast and aggressive, which combined with the tight and claustrophobic boss arena makes for an intense and skin-crawling sequence. The spider has a bulbous weak spot on its back, and once he manages to break through its hard exoskeleton, the two of them plunge into the subway station below.
I miss our Raccoon City hospitality.
Okay, this is one of the most badass shots in the entire game, and the fight serves as a warm welcome into the new and ravaged Raccoon City. Much like the streets above, the subway is stained with death, and when Leon reaches the surface, he is met by a large barricade that was put up by the army to seal the city. The barricade stretches for miles, and in the center of it is an unfinished detonator. Someone was trying to get to the other side, and it's Leon's job to finish what they started. This entire section revolves around obtaining the 3 detonator parts needed to blow open the gate. It's kind of like the Chimera wall from RE4. Leon has to run around and open various areas to obtain what he needs to get to the center of the city. But before he begins his search for the parts, Leon comes across an old abandoned BSAA camp. Immediately questioning why they were here, Leon turns on the generator and comes across an unlocked laptop. It's on this laptop where he discovers that the BSAA were also headed for the center of Raccoon City. Their mission? Retrieve Elpis. After discovering what the BSAA have planned, Sherry informs Leon that she dug a little deeper into the Pentagon's database, and she wasn't able to find a single record of anyone ordering the missile strike on Raccoon City. This information alone makes the entire operation feel much more shady than it already is. There's much more at play than what's seen on the surface.
Leon triggered the alarm. It looks like your campaign to make the DSO stand down really didn't work, Zeno.
I'll leave this matter to you, then.
Now, this is when the section fully opens up. Like I said before, Leon's main goal is to get the 3 detonator parts which have been scattered across various buildings within the city. This portion of the game is semi-open world, which allows you to explore a bit, and, visit all Raccoon City's top-rated restaurants and hotels on Booking.com. Booking.yes. Not a sponsor, by the way. While searching for these parts, Leon quickly discovers that there is something sinister buried beneath all the dirt and rubble. No matter where he goes, the dead follow. These zombies have remained dormant ever since 1998, and for nearly 3 decades, the original victims of the T-virus festered beneath the surface, slowly decomposing and mutating into the rotted corpses they are today. Their flesh is all but gone, revealing the frail and brittle bones holding them together. These victims have been subjected to an eternal hell, and even now, they are still being used by the corrupted. The undead within the city were never given a chance to rest, because ever since the incident, they've been experimented on and infected with a new mutated strain of the T-virus, leading to the same mutations seen at Rhodes Hill. ARC is focused on bioweapon research and development, and the scientists within the facility have been utilizing the unique environment of Raccoon City to further establish ARC as the leading bioweapon production hub in North America. At the end of the day, it's all about profit, and the ghosts involved are willing to do anything for power and money. I'll talk more about the shadow organization controlling ARC in a bit. For now though, after putting the dead to rest, Leon keeps moving, and after finding the first piece of the detonator, he comes across an entire BSAA squad, lying dead and mangled on the street. Whoever did this to them showed them absolutely no mercy, and after further investigation, Leon discovers exactly what happened.
We encountered 3 infected and eliminated them. That's correct, sir. Do we proceed?
So the rumors were true? What rumors? The missile wasn't just about stopping the spread. Don't be ridiculous.
Man down! Man down! Jesus! Please help me! Holy shit!
Zeno viciously murdered each and every soldier in the blink of an eye. But before witnessing the carnage, one of the soldiers talks about the rumors being true. The missile strike ordered on the city wasn't just about stopping the spread. No, it was used as a way to cover up something that wasn't meant to be found. Over the years, the BSAA had begun to transform into the very thing they swore to destroy. In 2021, during the events of Village, it was discovered by Chris Redfield that the BSAA were sending in BOWs in lieu of soldiers. This immediately sparked an internal dispute within the organization, which led the North American branch to go rogue and operate independently, leading to their deployment in Raccoon City, a deployment that was kept secret from the public and certain sectors of the US government. It's believed that the North American branch was being co-opted by the Connections, which is the same shadow organization responsible for Evelyn and various other bioweapons. The story in the second half of the game really brings in all of the key players from the last few entries, and it can get a little confusing at times, so bear with me. After Leon watches the body cam footage, Sherry tries to dig up whatever information she can about Zeno, who at this point they have no clue who or what he is. Sherry isn't able to find anything about him, and right now he's considered a ghost in the operation. And while Leon and Sherry try to wrap their heads around what they've just stepped into, Zeno is busy taking Grace to the police department.
What are we doing here?
All in good time. You'll see.
Now, in their mission to retrieve Elpis, the vast majority of the BSAA foot soldiers were either killed or infected by the T-virus, which transformed them into armored zombies capable of using firearms and explosives. Leon's sections are already very action-focused, but from the moment these new enemies arrive, everything kinda gets dialed to 11. Much like the zombies present in the care center, the soldiers retain the instincts they had when they were alive. The only difference being, they're not as intelligent, but that doesn't mean they aren't dangerous. They're actually incredibly deadly. If Leon isn't careful, the zombies can easily shred him with bullets, and since they're technically trained, the moment they run out of ammo, they'll simply just reload. The zombies are much more unpredictable in their movements and attacks, which forces Leon to adapt to each and every encounter. And some of these encounters are just insane. Now, the soldiers might have some heavy weaponry, but so does Leon. He's got 2 pistols, 3 shotguns, 2 snipers, 2 SMGs, and the Requiem. I'm also not including any of the New Game Plus weapons at all. Bro's f***ing loaded from head to toe in the gun department. And the majority of these weapons are acquired through the new supply box system, which is pretty much just like the merchant. Leon can use credits to upgrade weapons and get new attachments, as well as buy body armor and ammo. The credits in this game work differently than games like RE4. Instead of selling treasures, all Leon needs to do is kill zombies and collect credit bands scattered throughout the game. That's it. It's a pretty simple system. All of this comes together to make this half of the story feel like a completely different game when compared to the opening. And honestly, it only gets crazier once Leon manages to find all of the detonator parts. After blowing the gates, Leon opens one of the BSAA containers with a key he found off of one of the dead soldiers. In this container is a motorcycle, and you can probably guess what happens next. Words honestly can't describe how hyped I was during this sequence. My jaw was on the fucking floor. The bike chase feels like it belongs in a Hollywood blockbuster, and it's easily the most high-octane and adrenaline-pumping moments in the entire game. It's a miracle his old ass didn't crash. Seeing Gideon on a motorcycle with a rocket launcher is one of the goofiest things I've seen in a while, but every single time I play this section, I got a big old cheesy grin on my face. The spectacle of this chase is just wild to me. It feels like a really ramped up version of the minecart sequence in the RE4 remake, which was already really over the top, but Capcom has kind of been going nuts with the campy action sequences, and I'm all for it. I mean, it really shows how different of a man Leon is from the last time he was in the city. Bro turned into Evil Knievel. And as Gideon continues to block off Leon's path, it forces him to drive through the narrow alleys of the city. And when that's no longer an option, he has nothing left to do but improvise.
I've had enough of you! I know the feeling!
The ride comes to an end when Gideon and Leon face off one last time, in what feels like that one scene from Scooby-Doo. You know what I'm talking about?
Should've worn a helmet.
You should be close to the coordinates.
Yeah. Looks like it.
Continuing his search for Grace, Leon finds himself approaching the center of the city, and the moment he gets off the motorcycle, he's flooded with memories. The last time he was here, he was being chased through the fiery streets by zombies who wanted nothing more than to devour his flesh. And as he walks through the same alley he once ran to for safety, it all begins to wash over him. And once he walks up those stairs, he is met with the physical embodiment of all of his regret and guilt. Standing before him is the broken and lifeless corpse of the Raccoon City Police Department.
Police station's not much farther. They'll know something.
Yeah, but what if we're the only ones? What if there's no survivors?
No, there's survivors. It's a big city. There has to be.
Make my mistake. If you see one of those things, uniform or not, you do not hesitate.
The moment Leon grabs the door handle, his breath gets shaky, his eyes close. His mind takes him back to a time where he was weak and terrified. This is the first time in the game where Leon is hesitant to do something. He's so unbothered by the monsters of today, but reluctant to face the ones from yesterday. And when he opens the front door, he is reminded not only of his trauma, but of his purpose.
It's on you now.
Walking through the RPD feels like navigating the bones of a skeleton. It's a haunting yet beautiful atmosphere that really highlights the beauty in decay. Instead of feeling dread or suspense, the RPD feels somewhat tranquil. It's silent and nostalgic, but it's also depressing. Much like the streets of the city, this place was once lively and seen as a sanctuary for some. A place that represented authority and strength. But now it's nothing but a hollow building, surrounded by death and rubble. The majority of the police station is blocked off by debris, but the rooms that Leon can enter are exactly how he left them. There's nothing really going on with the gameplay of this section. It's mainly an atmospheric walkthrough, and a place of reflection for Leon. Walking through the halls serves as a reminder of why he keeps fighting. He can never let anything like this happen again. As he navigates the west wing of the building, he comes across a withered zombie wearing a uniform. This officer has been wandering one hallway for 28 years, and it isn't until Leon shows up that he's granted mercy.
Rest easy, officer.
Throughout his time at the RPD, Leon pays his respects to all the officers who turned, especially Lieutenant Marvin Branagh.
Hey, Lieutenant Branagh. Kennedy. Reporting for duty.
As well as the undisturbed rooms, there are also a couple of puzzles to solve, specifically one that opens a safe and a book that contains the picture of Rebecca Chambers, which has been kept in the best condition possible. Besides that, the RPD is mainly a place cemented in history, rather than a full-blown area to explore. And when Leon enters the main hall, he discovers that the building is actually being used by the BSAA, serving as a primary HQ to survey ARC. While investigating, Leon discovers that he's not the only one here. Someone has been expecting him, and they left him with a piece of his past. And as he reads the note left behind for him, the BSAA terminal turns on, and reveals Zeno as he walks alongside Grace in the East offices.
That guy. And Grace. Shit, she's in danger.
Military units from from every country on Earth come to Raccoon City for one purpose. To find Elpis.
What is Elpis?
The power to upset the military balance of the world.
Elpis isn't just any virus. No, it's the final virus created by Spencer, and it's capable of upsetting the military balance of the world. Whoever obtains it pretty much holds the entire planet in the palm of their hands. Zeno tells Grace that every single covert military unit from every country on Earth has been coming to Raccoon City for the sole purpose of finding it. The virus was designed to control human consciousness, and it's the reason Raccoon City is the way it is. They couldn't risk something this powerful being stolen, so they launched the missiles to hide it. Now, who's they, exactly? Well, remember the connections? They're the ones who lobbied for the missile strike, and they used the outbreak as an opportunity to seize all of Umbrella's assets, and secure Ark. Once they did, that's when the bomb was dropped. This was done to seal the city for themselves. And for 28 years, Ark has been used by the connections to research, develop, and distribute bioweapons around the globe. But after all these years, they still haven't been able to obtain the weapon at the center of it all. And in 2013, President Adam Benford planned to declassify information regarding the Raccoon City disaster. But he never could. Before his speech, he fell victim to a sudden bioterrorist attack, which led to his infection and death by the hands of Leon. Grace is the key to unlocking Elpis, but up until this point, we've been unaware as to why this is. And it's revealed that the connections have been trying to replicate her for decades. In a mountain of duplicates, she is the original.
Emily.
In a way. But not the girl you met. So many attempts. So many failures. Such a waste.
What do you mean?
Copies. Crafted to duplicate you. All useless. All scrapped.
Emily and her friend Marie were just copies of her that were defective and scrapped. Zeno turns her attention to a monitor and shows her the perspective of a duplicate named Chloe as she navigates her way through the horrors of the Raccoon City orphanage.
God, we need to do something. I called security, but nobody answered. They are out of control.
Doctor, we can't contain them.
Sedate them now! Are you kidding me? Get out of my way!
Hey, are you awake?
The actual gameplay of the orphanage is pretty scripted and just involves Chloe running and hiding from the other children, the ones who have been discarded and abandoned. As a result of the experiment, the children that were tossed away rose from their coffins and started to slaughter each and every researcher within the building.
Don't come any closer!
No.
No, get back! Get back!
They're just mindless husks with soulless red eyes that giggle whenever you meet their gaze. Each one of them being born out of a lab, for the sole purpose of unlocking Elpis. Chloe is considered a newer series than the ones running rampant in the orphanage. She's a Series 70 subject, while the others are Series 60. And the scientists have been injecting Spencer's plasma into every one of them. And with each new series, they increase the volume of the dosage to see if they can successfully transfer his memories into them. And when they're defective in any way, they're thrown in the trash. The entire situation is horrific, and the footage comes to an abrupt end when Chloe stumbles upon a projector, highlighting her stages of life.
Chloe?
Is that how I...
I've got her!
She's showing symptoms too.
We need to get rid of her.
They weren't able to recreate Spencer's key. But now we have the original. We have you.
Grace becomes overwhelmed and begins to panic. She feels as though she's the reason for their torment. And after years of failure, they finally have the original. And when Grace learns that she was made, her mind begins to unravel and shut down. She begins to blame herself all over again for her mother's murder and Emily's transformation. And when it all becomes too much, she blacks out and falls to the ground.
Grace!
What the?
Now, I know what many of you are thinking. Is Zeno Wesker? The answer to that is no, he's not. It's heavily implied that he's a duplicate of him, which is fitting, because this game is all about duplicates. And by the way, you're about to see another.
Mr. Kennedy, I had a feeling you'd make an appearance. Sorry, but I don't have time to spare. Have fun.
Good ol' Mr. X comes crashing down from above and immediately sucker punches Leon across the room. The last time they came face to face with one another, Leon was young and untrained, but now it's time for round 2.
Sherry, wasn't there an orphanage around here?
Yes, there was. Why?
I'm gonna do some digging.
For those unaware of Mr. X, he was a tyrant sent by Umbrella during the Raccoon City outbreak to destroy the evidence and kill the remaining survivors of the T-virus, specifically the ones within the RPD. He was the main stalker enemy in Resident Evil 2, and after 28 years, he was born again with one mission: kill Leon. The tyrant chasing Leon isn't actually Mr. X. No, that bastard has been dead since the outbreak. The one you're seeing on screen is named T-501, and just like the original, he's got a leather coat for effective human disguise. I couldn't hardly tell at all.
Everything all right, Leon?
Yeah. I'm good.
So why'd you ask about the orphanage?
They're taking Grace Dark. The orphanage is the entrance.
Once Leon manages to escape the tyrant, he finds himself outside of the RPD, on the same street he once walked with Ada. And sitting there, practically untouched after all these years, is Kendo's gun shop, a pillar in Leon's story, and one of the main emotional catalysts for his guilt. In Resident Evil 2, Leon and Ada passed through the gun shop to get to the sewers. But as soon as they entered, they were met by the owner, Robert Kendo, a broken man who had abandoned all hope after the outbreak took his wife and infected his young daughter, who was still somewhat sentient, but nearing death's door. Not even the most innocent were spared from the shadow of Umbrella.
I was sleeping, honey. Okay? And I'm gonna put you to bed too, okay? Just go. Just give us some privacy.
It's one thing to keep the truth from me, but why him?
This seemingly quick encounter is actually a pivotal moment in the foundations of Leon's purpose, and the motivations that drive his later actions. We see Leon, now 28 years later, kneeling over the bones of Kendo and his daughter, still harboring those feelings of disappointment, and here he allows himself to finally apologize for the power he once lacked. And it's in this moment where he finds some closure. But despite that, there's still no comfort in the bones.
I'm so sorry. Never again.
After confronting the ghosts of his past, Leon moves forward towards the Raccoon City orphanage. But before he can even get near it, the tyrant returns.
Me. I couldn't save them. But I could stop bastards like you.
This boss fight is genuinely insane. It shows just how far Leon has come since the last time they fought. And it also shows just how dedicated he is when it comes to stopping bastards like him from walking the earth. Leon uses his handy hatchet to parry the tyrant's attacks, while also dodging whole-ass cars. This is my favorite fight in the entire game, and the battle itself is so cathartic. It feels like a reversal of power. The tyrant is no longer seen as this unstoppable force. No. Since the last time they met, Leon has fought every bioweapon and their mother. If anything, the tyrant is light work. Okay, well, I know that shit hurt. Bro's back is actually cooked after that one, not gonna lie. But the thing about Leon is he always gets back up, and after hitting him with everything he's got, the tyrant falls to his knees. And as Leon drives the hatchet into his chest, each strike becomes more and more ferocious. Every slash driven by all of the rage and guilt within him. And as the tyrant's chest caves in, Leon can finally leave that monster to rot.
I'll stop you as many times as I have to.
The tyrant no longer has any hold on him, and now that the shackles have been broken, Leon finally makes it to the orphanage. Ark lies deep beneath the building, and to get there, Leon has to navigate through the biggest pothole known to man. But before I talk about that, if you're enjoying the video, consider liking, commenting, and even subscribing. It really helps me out, and I appreciate you taking the time to sit and listen to me ramble for however long this video is. It means a lot. Also, since you're here, I'm curious. Do you like Chili's or Applebee's more? It has nothing to do with the video at all, but like, this is serious. And also, it's gonna confuse anyone who hasn't made it this far. So let me know in the comments. Anyways, Leon traverses through the chasm, and he eventually manages to descend into the deepest portion of the crater. And as he goes further down, he is enveloped by a massive bioweapon, known simply as Plant 43. These dark and twisted roots have made themselves at home in front of the service entrance leading to Ark. But that was actually by accident. Plant 43 may be acting as a guardian protecting the entrance, but it was accidentally dropped during transit, and this mistake resulted in an infestation that consumed everything in its path. The majority of these roots are almost 3 decades old, and Leon is about to do some landscaping. I'm sorry, that was corny. After whacking the weeds, Leon finds himself standing in front of the source of all the corruption. And it's a really simple fight. You kinda just move side to side and shoot. After making some compost out of the plant, Leon finds himself staring at the massive umbrella logo etched into the center of the gate. And once he pulls that lever down, there's no going back. The service entrance is dark and covered in cobwebs. The floor is littered with crates labeled by the usual suspects: Tricell, HCF, and of course, Umbrella. At first, the facility looks abandoned, but that illusion is quickly shattered the moment Leon goes a little bit further. Ark is filled with state-of-the-art technology and clinical-grade minimalism. Each and every room is cold and sterile, the halls quiet and unsettling. The blankness of the facility gives it character while also stripping it of any personality. It's an abnormal setting that creates a jarring juxtaposition with the apocalyptic Raccoon City that lies above. It feels like we've entered a realm that has no connection to reality. This place shouldn't exist, and yet it does. It might appear cleaner than the filthy streets on the surface, but I assure you, this is the dirtiest place on Earth. And it isn't long before the rats come crawling from their dens.
Where is that? Okay. I'm getting the feeling I'm not wanted around here.
The soldiers that ambush Leon are known as the Elite Guards, a private special military force working for the Connections, and they've been dispatched to hunt and kill Leon before he can get to Elpis. The guards are highly trained and lethal, but so is Leon, and he isn't afraid to eliminate anyone in his path, infected or not. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the first mainline entry that has us fighting actual humans. In previous titles, there were enemies that used weapons and behaved like soldiers, but that was because of various viruses. These soldiers, however, have human blood running through their veins, which somehow makes it even more terrifying. These men had a choice, and they chose to be the lapdogs to an organization that doesn't give a shit if they live or die. And after disposing of the units, Leon continues to make his way to the central refining system. But before he can reach his destination, he's abruptly cut off by the leader of the pack, the commander.
Backup is on the way.
Not necessary. I'll neutralize the target myself. Leon Kennedy. We finally meet.
Now, the commander is actually believed to be Hunk, or at least a duplicate of Hunk. You know, the ruthless and legendary mercenary that isn't afraid to get his hands dirty for the sake of completing a mission? Yeah, that Hunk. He's easily the most worthy opponent to Leon since Krauser. And speaking of Krauser, this fight is incredibly similar to the one seen in RE4 Remake. Instead of being a knife fight, it's, well, a hatchet fight. The two of them are vicious, and Hunk really gives Leon a run for his money. The bastard even tries to pull off his signature neck snap on him. But after a pretty ferocious and primal fight, the clash comes to an end, when Leon manages to slice his neck open with one fell swoop. Hunk finally got the fight he always wanted, and it was also his last. After Hunk dies, we can clearly see that he was also infected with the Raccoon City Syndrome. And ever since Leon entered Ark, his symptoms have become more prominent. The black marks are now migrating up his forearm, whereas before they were just contained to his neck and hand. He's running out of time, and it won't be long before he's knocking on death's door. In the bowels of Ark lies Pandora, which is the security system containing Elpis. Now, like I said before, Elpis has the capability to control another's will. The thing is, that technology already exists, but Spencer is believed to have perfected it with Elpis, allowing for an easier way to infect others with the virus. Ever since the Connections sealed the city, the virus has been sitting there, waiting patiently for all these years. And despite having Elpis within their reach, they could never obtain it. It can only be unlocked by using a specific password, and if the wrong one is typed in, then the entire facility will be set to self-destruct. Everything within Ark will cease to exist, and Elpis will be lost in the ashes. The fate of humanity lies with a simple question. What does the Creator desire? As of now, Grace has no clue what the answer is, and before Zeno can continue to question her about the password, Leon arrives to take his attention.
Don't embarrass yourself, Mr. Kennedy. You can't beat me.
Our We fancy.
Before Zeno can execute Leon, Grace quickly grabs the gun from off the floor and presses it to her temple. Whether he likes it or not, he needs her alive, and this distraction gives Leon enough time to pull off an escape, which is insane in every sense of the word. I mean, Leon is quite literally dying, but he still has the strength to hold on to this crane, or whatever it is, and Grace at the same time.
I got you.
Are you okay?
Me? I feel like $1 million.
But after Leon and Grace land on a moving platform, they find themselves in the waste disposal area. And the last time Leon was in the dumps, he was with Ashley.
Are you out of your mind?
I knew you'd be fine if you landed on your butt.
Instead of landing on their asses, they hit the ground with their feet. But before they can assess the situation, Leon blacks out and falls to the ground.
Leon!
Hours have passed, and Grace has been sitting by his side the entire time, rocking back and forth and crying as his body is being rapidly devoured by Umbrella's curse. The infection has reached its final stage, and when he finally wakes up, he is well aware of his own mortality. And it's in this moment of reflection where he looks back on his life, and the emotions finally spill out of him.
When it all happened, I couldn't make a difference. So I am here now.
On the other side of the coin, Grace is tired of living in regret, and she isn't gonna let him do this alone. She's willing to do whatever it takes. And it's here where Leon isn't looking at Grace. He's staring back at that rookie cop who just wanted to make a difference.
If anything happens to me, you promise you'll end this.
I promise.
After agreeing to put an end to Elpis, we switch back to Grace's perspective, and her main goal is to lift the crane blocking Leon's way forward. Once she does this, the two of them move through the facility at the exact same time. But their experiences are completely different from one another. Leon is barely holding on as the infection eats away at his body. It attacks every cell and makes him hallucinate. It feels as though the Reaper is waiting for him with open arms around every corner. And with each step he takes, the thought of him dying becomes more and more real. It feels like a final stand. Leon is forced to not only battle the curse within him, but also fend off all of the bioweapons standing in his way. Because even on death's door, Leon never folds. While Leon goes toe-to-toe with the monsters in the facility, Grace sneaks past them and finds herself in the archives. And it's here where she finally learns the truth about Elpis and herself. When she approaches the console, she notices an MO drive slot, and this immediately jogs her memory. It takes her back to the Wrenwood Hotel and reminds her of the disc her mother left behind. The contents of this disc are integral to the story, and honestly, it flips the entire plot on its head. This is everything Alyssa wanted to tell Grace before she was silenced. And after 8 years of being hidden in the dark, it all comes to light. And who better to tell her the truth than the creator himself?
Shutting yourself away in a dark room like this is quite the change for you.
The video Grace is watching was taken from Alyssa's interview with Oswell Spencer, which was conducted after Umbrella's crash in 2004. This interview took place in his secluded mansion, and during his final years, he turned into a recluse. He completely disappeared from the public eye. And despite being responsible for countless atrocities, Spencer showed signs of remorse when looking back on his past. Now, there isn't a lot said in the very first video, apart from Spencer wanting the people to know the truth, because the majority of the information is revealed within the second video, which just so happens to be titled Grace.
What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
My research opened Pandora's box.
As soon as the video starts, Spencer talks about how he's plagued with immense guilt for everything he's done, and that happiness cannot be obtained through the expense of others. He believes his research and experiments have opened Pandora's box, and as soon as he says that, Alyssa mentions Elpis. But it's not what we think.
Unleashing disaster upon the world.
Except Elpis, the goddess of hope? Or so the myth goes.
A blind hope.
What do you mean?
Humans cannot predict when death will come for them. This is why they have hope.
Elpis is the goddess of hope, a blind hope. It's not some weapon of mass destruction, it's something much more. Before Alyssa can ask him more questions, a caretaker walks in and hands Spencer a baby wrapped in a blanket. This child is not one of his experiments. No, she's perfectly normal. And as a way to make amends, he took her in when she was alone in the world, gave her a home, loved her unconditionally, and gave her a chance to be someone. The moment Spencer has her in his arms, his entire personality changes. It's almost like everything he's done in the past has been washed away from his conscience. She brings him peace, makes him feel human again, which is something that was lost during all of his years of obsession. She is his hope, and her name is Grace.
What's her name?
Grace.
Grace.
Grace was adopted by Spencer, and before he died, he wrote in his will that Alyssa would take custody of her to keep her safe and far away from all of the evils within the world, because she is the embodiment of hope. Even though this is something Grace has questioned during all of her years of mourning, it still exists within her. And now that she knows the truth, this is her chance to make a difference and set things right. While Grace was in the archives, Leon made his way to Pandora, but as soon as he got to the entrance, he began to violently cough up blood before collapsing to the floor. Grace sees all of this unfold from one of the monitors, and she immediately makes her way to him. And while heading towards Pandora, she stumbles into a replica of Spencer's office. But she doesn't have any time to look around, because if she doesn't get to Leon soon, he'll surely die.
I was just resting my eyes.
You're okay. Oh, let me help you.
Let's do this.
As the two of them cross the bridge to Pandora, Grace is having conflicted thoughts. Because after watching the video, she was shown that Spencer changed, and that Elpis is not what they think it is. And when she's faced with the ultimate decision, she decides to go with her gut and rely on that blind hope. There's no countdown, no explosion, just the rumbling of the machine as it prepares to wake Elpis from its almost 40-year slumber. And before Grace can explain to Leon why she released it, Zeno pushes her out of the way. And in his blind lust for power, he immediately injects the vial into his neck, with the expectations that he'll become a god, but that's far from the case. Elpis is not a weapon. It's the most powerful antiviral drug on the face of the earth. And instead of granting him the powers of a god, it makes him mortal. There was never anything special about Grace. All of those clones that were supposedly crafted from her likeness were just red herrings in the story. There's only one Grace, and the connections have been relying on misinformation and false leads for years. Spencer just wanted to make amends and atone for his sins, and in doing so, he pulled the rug on the organization that took everything from him. While Zeno actively loses his powers, Leon tackles him to the ground. But the three of them are not the only ones in the facility. Gideon survived the crash and has been listening to their entire exchange, and he has a completely different reaction to Zeno. Instead of being pissed, he's humbled by the genius of his master. Now, Gideon has always had a blind devotion to Spencer, and all of the papers that Gideon based his research off of were incomplete. But in the beginning of the story, he did a comprehensive blood analysis on her, and he was unable to find a connection between her and Emily.
The paper was obviously incomplete. There was no connection between Grace and Emily.
Do you know how much time and money I wasted on this?
Don't you see the genius? With Elpis, All virus-based weapons are useless. The world order will be thrown into chaos.
Instead of seeing Elpis as Spencer's atonement, he sees it as a path to anarchy. He is so blinded by his own image of Spencer that he won't allow himself to believe that his master was capable of changing. Instead, he completely flips the narrative and sees Elpis as a way to wreak havoc against the powers of the world. And when Zeno continues to press Gideon about his failed research, Victor lashes out and kills him in an instant.
But an imitation.
It's over, Victor. The Connections is done with you!
We can't let him have it.
At this point, Leon is still lying on the ground, and the only person standing between Gideon and Elpis is Grace, who isn't any match for Gideon because he immediately stabs her in the gut. But while he makes his way towards her, he gets distracted by Zeno's corpse. And it's in this moment where she injects Leon with the antiviral, and within seconds, it puts an end to Umbrella's curse.
Oh, it's working. Leon, it's working. Wake up.
But before the two of them can get up, Gideon grabs a sample of Elpis and then sets Ark to self-destruct, which causes them to plunge deeper into the facility.
Now, let it all come down. All of it.
It's gonna go! Grab something!
Grace.
Grace!
Time to bury Umbrella's last skeleton.
What follows is a boss fight between Leon and Gideon, and it's revealed during this two-phase battle that Gideon is actually a nemesis. Crazy, I know.
Nemesis. No wonder you're so damn relentless.
The fight itself is incredibly epic. Lightning strikes down on the arena as the two of them clash for the second and final time. The scale of this fight is so fitting for a finale. It's honestly got one of my favorite looking arenas in any Resident Evil game. The way Gideon lunges and attacks is also just so cool. He's incredibly aggressive, and throughout the game he's been somewhat reserved, apart from, you know, the motorcycle. But here he is just brutal. And since this is a two-phase fight, Gideon undergoes a transformation. And even though his true nemesis form is gigantic in scale, that's no issue to Leon, because now that he's free from his curse, he feels better than ever.
This time, you ain't getting back up.
After defeating Gideon once and for all, Leon searches for Grace as the facility comes crashing down. Everywhere he looks is covered in falling debris, and when he eventually finds her, she's lying unconscious on the ground. But once she wakes up, the two of them realize that there's no way out. Each and every exit is blocked. This is the end for them, and instead of panicking, they accept their fate and sit side by side until the lights go out.
I guess this is it then.
Just as all hope is lost, the Hound Wolf squad descends from above, and the one leading the operation tells Leon that he's got a message from Captain Redfield. And we actually don't hear this message. I'm assuming it might be saved for a DLC or a new entry, I'm not entirely sure. But the ending is very well done, and I loved every second of it. But I can't say the same thing about the bad ending. In fact, we're not gonna talk about that shit. That ending is ass. After being evacuated to the surface, Leon and Grace reunite with one another, and although the hell has come to an end, Grace still holds regrets over Emily's death. But Leon comforts her. He confesses that she might still be alive, claiming he didn't hit any of her vitals, which is complete bullshit. How does he even know where the vitals are on that thing? But anyways, he believes that Emily can still be saved. This is the last thing Leon says to her before they part ways. The main story ends by showing off the news coverage of the event, and it's revealed that Emily is alive. Footage of her body is shown buried inside the flesh of the mutated corpse, and after recovering, she is presumed to have been given a dose of the antivirus, which grants her sight and clears all the infected blood from her system. This is a monumental second chance for her, a chance to live a long, fulfilled life. Time passes and we see Grace at the same desk she sat at in the beginning of the game. It's a juxtaposing shot, highlighting the changes within her character. This time, she's not rushing to write a report. No, she's leisurely talking on the phone with Leon, revealing that they've stayed in touch and that their relationship has grown from savior and victim to friends who can depend on one another. For Grace's part, she has someone who will always be there physically to support her. And for Leon, Grace is a friend who can show up emotionally when he needs it. Requiem is a game that shouldn't have worked, but it did. It was an ambitious game from its first conception, aiming to blend every element of the previous games into one cohesive story and experience. It introduced brand new characters while also bringing back old ones, as well as expanding on the lore and creating more opportunities for even more expansions. The story is one that delves deep into grief and trauma, and finally draws Raccoon City to a close after 30 years. But when one story ends, another begins.
Remaining BSAA forces have been neutralized. Retrieving the objective before they send in the wolves.